This episode of The Third Sector is being made possible with the support of the Richmond Symphony Orchestra. Join the RSO as they go back to the 80s on Saturday, April 27th, and get your sweet tooth ready for the Chocolate Garden in the Richmond Rose Garden on May 25th. And by Civic Hall Performing Arts Center, where the Silver Anniversary Proudly Presenting series wraps up with Rockapella at 7:30 on May 11th. Ticket information can be found at civichall.com.
Hello and welcome to the Third Sector. In our society, there are three sectors: public, private, and nonprofit. And it's that third sector, the nonprofits, that we discuss on our show. I have with me today representatives of the Cope Environmental Center. Please help me welcome Stephanie and Erica.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks you for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. I always like to start with a little history because I know you've been around a long time, but there are probably always folks out there that don't know about Cope. So, Stephanie, tell us how Cope got started. Just give us a little history.
All right. Well, Cope was founded in 1992 by Jim and Helen Cope and their good friend Francis Parks. They had a strong education background. Jim was a professor at Earlham College, and Helen was a high school biology teacher, a very well-loved high school biology teacher. And they had a very strong interest in sustainability and wanted to be able to share their knowledge with students from the high school level and college level and beyond. So they partnered with Fran Parks and formed the Cope Environmental Center on 33 acres. And then Lucky Ward was a neighbor and a supporter, and when she passed away, she left an additional 70 acres to the foundation, and that was where the Cope Environmental Center was started.
So I didn't realize you've got over 100 acres out there?
Just over 100 acres.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
That's just wonderful.
There's ponds and hiking trails and wetlands and our brand new Living Building Challenge building.
That's amazing. So lovely history, but let's jump right into that building. Erica,
Yeah.
tell us about that building. I know people have been hearing about it, but tell us about that living building.
Yeah, so the Living Building Challenge project is basically, it's a project that works on changing people's visions and minds about how design can be done, architecture can be done, and making it more earth-friendly, eco-friendly. So the Living Building Challenge, we decided to take this on as sort of a, well, basically we're trying to make the greenest building around. That could be sort of, you can think like kind of off-grid, think net zero energy usage, net zero water usage. It could be social equality, or basically equal access to nature. We're trying to make sustainability and earth friendliness pretty, beautiful. It doesn't have to be ugly and clunky. If you've heard of LEED, it's basically high environmental standards, and the LBC, or Living Building Project, is that on steroids. So we have even higher hoops to jump through, trying to be more eco-friendly as the most eco-friendly as possible. So
to put it maybe very simply for someone like me that isn't associated with this, it's self-sustaining. Would that be a good way to put it?
Yeah, that's an excellent way to put it. Self-sustaining,
so
balanced.
Creates enough energy to support itself. Does it even create more energy than you need, or will it in the future?
Yes, yeah. So we've got solar panels out on our property, and during the summer we overproduce, and it bounces back a little bit. We've talked about getting a battery to store that extra energy, but we don't have it currently. It's a dream, it's a vision, and but yeah, we are trying to make up and produce as much as we consume, and that is net zero. So we don't want to, we want to monitor how much energy we use over the year, and then try and produce that much, if not more, over the course of the year.
And when did this project get started?
Yeah, so having a sustainable building in this project was part of Helen's dream, and it kind of started in 2005. They started into 2008. They started testing the feasibility of being able to do this project, of whether it was something that was going to be worth it in the end, because it was going to be a pretty expensive project and it needed a lot of community support. And the Copes were able to do it, and along with the staff, and they broke ground in 2015 after a lot of research and different products, materials, trying to source things locally that's more sustainable. If you get timber or lumber for your building project from your property, which is what we did a lot of, or donated from carpenters in the area, that's more sustainable because you're not using the gas, as much gas, and that's, trying to get away from the fossil fuel economy sort of thing. But yeah.
It really is an amazing project. When I read about it and heard about, just like you said, sourcing the materials right there on site or locally, so you weren't trucking them from another state or even from another part of our state if you could avoid that. But I know that some of the materials were specialized, so some of them did have to come in maybe from a little further distance.
Yeah.
But what phase are you in now? Have you hit that goal where you are certified? I don't know the exact terms.
Yeah. So we're not certified yet. We're considered a registered project, and we're about to hit our halfway mark. We have to monitor our our energy usage. We have an exemption for our water puddle right now, but we're sort of halfway through it right now. And it's all about the process. Even if we don't make it in the end, there are different levels of the Living Building Challenge, and I forgot to mention earlier, another way of looking at the Living Building Challenge is viewing the building as a flower, and each petal of the flower represents a different thing in the project, a different standard. And like I mentioned before, solar, so energy stuff is one petal, water is one petal, materials not using toxic chemicals like formaldehyde and PVC in our product, those are just different petals, different things that we have to try and get. And we're very, very confident that we can at least get the petal certification, because we are already far above and beyond, especially in the energy department, where we'll meet that certification. But we won't know until 6 months from now.
Well, that sounds like an amazing project, and what a neat thing to have in our community. There are very few communities that can say, look what we've got on that caliber. So thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to make sure that we touch on programs, because that's very important to COPE. Stephanie, I know you're brand new out there.
Yes, brand new to COPE, but a long-time environmental educator.
Absolutely. Tell us about the work you're doing out there with the programming and everything that's going on at COPE.
Well, COPE is a bit of a traditional nature center in the sense that we have a lot of family programming and children's programming. We go into a lot of schools, and we have a lot of schools that come out and visit us, and we want to make sure that we immerse them in nature and a little hands-on learning and science and biology. And it's spring, so we're going to start talking a lot about frogs and salamanders and wildflowers and mushrooms and all the great things that happen out in nature on our spring hikes. So our programs are really geared towards what's going on in nature, how to be more sustainable. We have a program called Sustainable and Attainable that's the last Thursday of every month. And we tackle topics such as bee camping, recycling, food waste, growing a garden, composting, all those kind of things to help people learn new ways to become a little bit more sustainable in their own lives. Sustainability, when we when we think about it, a lot of times people get overwhelmed with wanting to do it all. And really, if you just start incorporating little bits and pieces here, after a while, you become very sustainable. So.
And I think sometimes people have the misconception that you only do programming for children.
No, we actually have a nursing home program. We're in 6 different nursing homes every month with a monthly topic. We go visit community groups. Really, if you want to come visit us, you can come visit us. If you want us to come visit you, you just call. You get me, and maybe Erica or somebody else to come talk about whatever nature-related topic you would like. Mm-hmm.
And during the summer, do you have special programs during the summer? I know I just said not only for kids, but I think during the summer you gear up that children programming aspect a little bit.
We do. We run our summer adventure camps, and this year we have 8 weeks of summer programs going on, and it starts with our junior Master Naturalist program through the Indiana DNR, and then our junior Master Naturalists have an option to come back and be our rangers for our summer program with the younger kids. So anything from artistic activities, and I think it's Art and Nature is the name of that program, to conservation camp, which is the world famous one for Cope with the overnight, and then Survivor. We have a Survivor series in there too. So a lot of really exciting programs for kids, and you can see those on our website at copeenvironmental.org.
And tell us, so we've only got a couple minutes left here. I want to touch on 2 things. Tell us about your background. You have an interesting background that makes you the perfect person to do this job.
So I went to school. I went to Purdue University to be a veterinarian, but I passed out the sight of flowing blood. So I got a degree in forestry and natural resources, and my first love is trees. But I spend so much time out in nature that it just kind of an ecosystem is very exciting to me. So I live in the woods, I work in the woods, and couldn't be more excited to be able to earn a paycheck walking in the woods doing what I love.
Yes. It's always great when you have a passion and your job matches that passion.
Yes.
I know none of this comes free, and you count on the community for support through donations, through your volunteers, and there's a really big special event coming up, and I want to make sure in our last little bit here that we talk about the Jack Hanna. Tell us about that event.
Jack Hanna will be here on May 22nd. He's going to be doing a public program at the fairgrounds for us, and you can get tickets. You can give us a call, or you can go online and get them. They are $10 for students and $15 for adults, and it's the same price they've been for the last 20 years. So come on out and support the Cope Environmental Center.
And if we've got folks out there that are thinking, I love trees too. How can they volunteer at Cope? Is there a way that people can support the organization with their time as well as their finances?
Sure. They can sign up online. They can send an email to me, McCurdy at copeenvironmental.org. But I think it's important to point out that you don't just have to love trees. Like, you might be somebody who really hates going outside, but you really want to volunteer. You can come out and volunteer. We have a lot of projects out there that don't require you to be outside. And even if you want to help us with fundraising or membership activities, you can come out and volunteer for that as well.
Super. Well, ladies, we're out of time, but I want to thank you both for being with me today and telling us about the new building, not so new anymore, and for the programming out at Cope. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel.
And thank you for joining us for this segment of The Third Sector. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Third Sector. My guest now is Stephen Hayes Jr. from the Hayes Arboretum. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We just got done talking with the ladies from Cope. Now tell us what's going on out at Hayes Arboretum.
Sure. So this is the time of year where it's the calm before the storm. We get ready for the big rush that tends to happen when everything starts to green up, and then it's go, 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 spring, summer, fall.
But for the folks out there that maybe don't know what Hayes Arboretum is, tell us a little bit about where you are and how you got started. I know you have a long history with your family's involvement, and tell us about that.
Sure. So the Arboretum started as a private estate. It was the private estate of my great-grandfather, Stanley Hayes. He came to Richmond in the early 1900s. It was 1911 when he moved here from Geneva, New York, and he had a business in the railroad safety industry. So the industry, the company's still in business today. It's known as Western Cullen Hayes. It's down on D Street, across from the jail, and it makes railroad safety devices. The business is no longer in the family. However, his private estate was converted to the Arboretum. So it's a private family foundation. It is a not-for-profit. It's a 501c3, and that was in 1963 is when we opened to the public. And we've been serving the community as the Arboretum ever since.
The word arboretum may be not familiar to a lot of folks. Tell us what that actually means.
Sure. So the Arboretum is a collection of trees, and our Arboretum, it specializes in native woody plant material to the Whitewater River Valley. So the Whitewater River Valley is not just in Wayne County, it also goes into Ohio, and it's a watershed. So it doesn't really reference political boundaries, but it is serving Richmond, serves Wayne County, serves over into Ohio, and it specializes in trees that are native to this area. So trees that have always been here since pre-settlement to the state.
Well, it's a really neat place. I love to go out there and walk. It's so quiet and peaceful. Even though it's right in the heart of the city, it just doesn't feel like it is.
Yeah, we're inside the city limits, except it's very nice, peaceful, tranquil, quiet. It's a great setting to come for a wedding, maybe in the Woodland Chapel or out on the main lawn fountain, or just go for a hike. We are free and open to the public. We are open throughout the year, 365 days. The east side trails are fairly new, and that's across from Fire Station number 3 at Woodside and Hayes Arboretum Road. And those trails are open 7 days a week, dawn to dusk, and that's where the mountain bike trails are too. So people can walk, bike, hike, bring their pet as long as it's on a leash, and they're willing to clean up after it. But it really is a fantastic space. You know, we get told a lot of times we're a hidden gem, and of course we love being a gem. We'd rather not be hidden. So, you know, definitely connecting with us so that we can serve you.
Absolutely. You touched on the mountain bike. That's a fairly new aspect, isn't it?
Yeah, so I want to say I've been at the Arboretum working full-time since 2010, and we opened the east side of our property and effectively doubled what the public can access at the Arboretum. You know, we went from about 175 acres to 330 acres that people can access by opening the east side of the Arboretum. And when we say the east side, that means east of Hayes Arboretum Road. And when we opened it up, it wasn't the traditional side of the Arboretum with the Nature Center and our main gate off of Elks Road. And so the trails on that side of the property weren't really developed. We had a group of individuals, at the time they were from Autocar, and now it seems we have more volunteers from Reed Health, but they wanted to create some mountain bike trails. And they said there was a need in the community. And it took a little bit of time to get our board comfortable with the idea of mountain bike trails. And it was a process, a due diligence process. And we were fortunate to partner not only with the local group of riders that also wanted to build the trail, but HMBA, which is the Hoosier Mountain Bike Association, a statewide organization, and then the DNR Recreation Department. So a lot of our property is DNR classified forests. That's Department of Natural Resources. Their recreation division helped us in developing the trails. So we really had a methodical process to developing the mountain bike trails, and I think that was, I know it was worthwhile in the end, because the trails that were developed are not only some of the best in the area, but some of the best in the state. We were recognized number 6 in the state in terms of trails because of those mountain bike trails.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
It is, and the trails are open to bikers, but like I said, hikers and walkers too, and free and open to the public. And so if people haven't been on the trails, it's a fantastic opportunity, and I really want them to check them out, to see them. It's extremely popular, and you can see land stewardship in practice out there. We have 7 acres of warm season grasses. We have acres and acres of forest that needs to be seen, and by seeing it, by walking it, you really do have a better appreciation of our resources.
Tell us about some of the programs that go on out at Hayes. I know you are busy all the time out there. What are some of the programming opportunities?
Yeah, it's incredible the amount of educational opportunities we have throughout the year. And some are arboretum. You know, we have staff that create programs, and we're also a host site for groups. So Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Purdue Extension, Department of Natural Resources, Soil and Water Conservation, I mean, you name it. We're willing to be a host site for environmental education programs. So there's a lot throughout the year, and I would really encourage people to visit our website and to get our email blast so that they don't miss opportunities. We have a spring mushroom program and fall mushroom program that's a regular event that it's one of these opportunities. If you miss it, you may not get to see those mushrooms again for a following year. There's programs every weekend. There's something. We have crafts in the Nature Center for families. We have our Playscape, which is always a popular destination. So there's always something going on at the Nature Center. I would encourage people to stop out, and once again, that's free and open to the public, and check out and see what we have, and just come reconnect. A lot of times we get people who stop out to the Nature Center and they say, oh, well, we haven't been here since we were, this high. And although it's great, we'd love it if people got in the habit of coming back more often.
Absolutely. How is the Arboretum funded?
So the vast majority of our operating funds come from our endowment, so Stanley W. Hayes Foundation. And that's about 70% of our operating costs, although it varies from year to year. And then the remaining costs are made up through all the other things that people might consider generate revenue. That goes to our operating cost. And that would include the small fee for programs, the auto tour, which is free to members, but it's $5 for the public per vehicle, rental facilities, memberships, donations. That makes up the roughly 30% a year of the operating costs.
Talk about memberships a little bit. How does one become a membership, and what are some of the benefits if you're a member?
Sure. So we've had a membership program since the 1990s, and there's all kinds of membership levels, from a single membership to family to a corporate level membership or not-for-profit membership. And those are one-year memberships They're good for a full calendar year whenever you become a member, and it's a fantastic way of supporting the Arboretum. We find that when people are members, they're then much more connected and aware of what's going on at the Arboretum. And that's probably the best way to connect, is becoming a member. And then you do get benefits. You get the benefit of the newsletter being sent to you, the benefit of being eligible, depending upon what level of membership you get, the rental facilities. You can be eligible to rent facilities there. So there's birthdays and weddings and some overnights and things like that. And then you get some discounts. So discounts to summer classes, which we've been doing summer classes since 1963 when we opened to the public. So people have grown up generationally, families have grown up with the summer classes. And then discounts in our gift shop.
So if folks are out there listening in our last couple minutes, how can they help? Other than giving, are there ways to volunteer? How can they be involved in the Arboretum?
Sure. So if you visit the website, so that's hayesarb.org, that's HAYESARB.org, or you can simply search Hayes Arboretum. It'll come up on a Google search. And on there, you'll find our volunteer interest forms. You can complete a volunteer interest form and you send it in to our naturalist. All the contact information's there. They can always contact me. My contact information's there too. But it'll be a little bit of everything. I mean, there's volunteer opportunities for working with school groups. There's working more administrative roles. There's working outdoors. People want their vitamin D. There's plenty of those opportunities. So that's a great way to connect. Definitely joining us on Facebook. We're very good at social media and getting our presence known out there, which this day and age you have to be. And then it's also signing up for the email list. We send an email blast out once every week during spring, summer, fall, maybe once every 2 weeks over the winter. But what we don't want is there to be opportunities that people feel like they miss, right? There's lots going on in this community, lots the Arboretum's involved with, and lots that our partners are involved with too. So, you know, we want people to not only know what's going on at our property, but share that with the people they know, and then also let us know what they want. So ultimately, we'll develop programs, we'll develop the things that help people further our mission to connect people with nature, because we really do serve the Whitewater River Valley, and we want to be a resource for the community.
All right. Well, thank you for being here with us and telling us about Hayes Arboretum.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining us on the Third Sector.
This episode of The Third Sector is being made possible with the support of the Richmond Symphony Orchestra. Join the RSO as they go back to the 80s on Saturday, April 27th, and get your sweet tooth ready for the Chocolate Garden in the Richmond Rose Garden on May 25th. And by Civic Hall Performing Arts Center, where the Silver Anniversary Proudly Presenting series wraps up with Rockapella at 7:30 on May 11th. Ticket information can be found at civichall.com.